While I was in grade 1, we lived in Wainwright, and I was a part of a pack of boys from the neighborhood. After school, we would often be together, 7 or 8 of us, riding our bikes through the alley, making skid marks, designing jumps out of miscellaneous pieces of wood found in people's garbages, or searching for puddles. The oldest was in grade 3, so he was the unofficial leader, and the gaggle did whatever he did. At the end of our alley, there was one of the boys whose parents were in the process of renovating and adding to their home. This made their yard the cool yard, as it was full of everything: discarded wood from the house, pipes from his dad's work, new building materials, and even logs from a recently cut down tree. All things that elementary school age boys need to entertain themselves. Today was the day we would park our bikes against his back fence and find new adventures. It all started small. We were wrestling on the big bags of pink insulation. There was padding and adrenaline. Perfect combination of play toys. It was awesome to get thrown over in a Superfly or do a pile driver just like Jake the Snake Roberts or Hacksaw Jim Duggan. We had our very own Royal Rumble. 8 boys, all for themselves, scrapping, squirming, pushing each other off the insulation, trying to be the last man standing. It was Stampede Wrestling in our neighborhood. No need to tune in on Saturday afternoons from the Silver Dollar Event Center with Ed Whalen. It was here, it was live, and it was real. In one of the matches, it was decided that a flying elbow drop from off the roof of the treehouse was needed. It was cool. It was like being flung from the top rope, but it didn't hurt. We all took turns jumping from the treehouse, landing on the insulation bags, and loving it. Before too long, the treehouse roof was crowded, and everyone was scrambling for position, looking for that perfect landing point. In this congestion, I was pushed off. Not to land in the soft bags of insulation, but onto the scrap wood pile. Looking up from the ground, my lip was bleeding and getting fatter by the second. I remember my arm hurt. Not just a little, like when you yell to get your brother in trouble, but real pain. After quick visual inspection, I knew I needed to go home. My arm was broken. Bones were clearly sheared. It resembled the Z pattern on Tetris. One of the older boys said he could fix it, so he tried to get it back together by force and pushing and pushing. He made me yell and my swollen lip quiver. It was the first time my friends ever saw me cry from pain. Wandering down the alley, whimpering, barely able to speak, I arrived at our back door. Mom took a glance and said, "We're going to the hospital." I got to sit in the front of the car, and the only place I could find comfort was by leaning forward and letting my arm dangle, with my fingers just above the floor mat. I kept licking my lip, hoping the ping pong ball-like bump would reduce in size, but that was not happening. My whimper was becoming less audible due to my full mouth blockage. They say hospital emergency waiting rooms are slow. Well, I learned that when you come in as a 6-year-old with a compound fracture and a fat lip, they give you some attention. I'm not an ER doctor, but I'm confident that everyone in the ER waiting could see that I was a pretty high priority. The sterile cold of the x-ray table numbed some of the pain created from the technician trying to get the right pose of my wrist that was flopping around in unnatural ways. Why does she need 6 pictures? Why does this take so long? The x-rays confirmed the obvious. It was broken, and it was broken bad. Surgery was next. As I waited to enter, Mom asked me if I wanted anything. I had missed supper, so food was a natural choice. I asked her to get me a bacon mushroom burger, the kind they make at Burger Baron, because everybody always told me how good those burgers were. They laid me down on the gurney and gave me a sleeping shot, asked me to count to 10. I made it to 5. When I awoke, I had the cast on, and the swelling had been so bad in my arm that they only made a hard cast on the top 2/3, which left the bottom accessible to being bumped and bruised. I was in a cast for 2 months, and every couple of weeks it was another trip to the hospital for more x-rays and a new piece of plaster. I still remember the grinding sound of that little circular saw they used to cut through the cast. The healing occurred over time. Today, I still have limited movement in my left wrist from that accident. My biggest challenge now is to make my hand into a cupping shape to get coins back through a drive-through window. I think every window worker thinks I'm flirting with her because the exchange is always awkward. And, by the way, Mum never did get me that burger.